There is a group of black conservatives that have existed for quite some time. I guess you can say that group was a group that attempted to model behavior for the black community in order to, I guess, lessen the impact of racism, discrimination, and Jim Crow. And that evolved into some political activity, but of course during the civil rights movement, black conservatives were kind of quieted or muted, and now they've come back to what people would refer to as a newfound prominence. But my book explains that it's nothing new. It's something that's been around for quite some time. Frederick Douglass was a Republican. He is quoted as saying that the Republican Party is the deck and all else is the sea. Meaning that for black people at that particular time, there was no other option besides supporting the Republican Party. Just the idea of voting Democrat during the time was unheard of. And slowly, if you develop until the New Deal, blacks started supporting the Democratic Party and the New Deal and the politics of the New Deal. And then by the Civil Rights Movement, blacks en masse moved over to the Democratic Party. Now, you still had some pockets of blacks that continue to vote Republican, but now in large you have 90% plus blacks voting Democrat in presidential elections. Now, if you kind of sift that up and look at state by state and local government races, you do have some black people voting Republican. In my book, I try to explain what conservatism means to black people and modern day politics. There are different groups of black conservatives, the way I see it and the way I conducted my research. And now the stigma is more or less attached to two of the categories of black conservatives that I talk about in my book, not so much to the other two remaining. I'll give the titles of the groups of black conservatives. I call them individualist conservatives and neoconservatives. The stigmas are more so attached to those two groups because you hear more about those two groups of conservatives. I also categorize groups of conservatives into what I call the black right. Those are black evangelicals who are conservative. They have very conservative viewpoints. And I also have a category of what I call Afrocentric conservatives. In my book, I kind of liken that group of conservatives to people who may be affiliated with the Nation of Islam or people who are black nationalists. Now, normally they would not consider themselves conservative in mainstream politics, but if you look at their views and some of their social positions, you would see that they are very conservative. The idea that all blacks are liberal and thus Democrat in the 21st century is that's not correct.